We live in an amazing universe. Universe so vast, so huge, so big, so great. Often when we refer to universe, it is a great way of expressing how we see and view our God. For there is not a spot where God is not. God is this infinite universe. Vast, great, mighty, all present, ever unfolding in exciting new ways. You know that old phrase we used to say, God is good all the time. All the time, God is good. How about we say, the universe is good all the time. And all the time the universe is good, unfolding this goodness in such a powerful way. How good? How good is the universe? Infinite goodness, unfolding for us in infinite ways, unfolding our highest and best at all times. I love passage after passage of the ancient scriptures that unfold this truth that it is the divine good pleasure, God's good pleasure, the universe's good pleasure to bless us, to give to us, to care for us, to love us. It is this wonderful unfolding goodness that is there all around us at all times. And there is so much for us to awaken to. For the more goodness that we awaken or that we welcome into our lives or the more that we use, well, the more that we put into action, the more you have. Isn't that such a powerful thought around us that we get to use it, but we don't use it up. We get more and more and more. As we're embracing the love, the goodness of God, there's more to come. It's an unexhausted source for us to tap into. And this great Spirit is always working through us. Through us. Ready, willing, eager, excited, thrilled, you might say, ready to work, but simply waiting on you and you and you and I. Waiting for us to allow, waiting for us to awaken, waiting for us to utilize, waiting for us to put into action this great love that is there for us at all times. But in this desire to do all this good that the Spirit has, in its desire to unfold, it often encounters one of man-made great obstacles. The obstacle to all of our blessing within our lives. It is a great wall, and it's huge. Yes, and we build it, and Mexico doesn't pay for it. It's one of those obstacles that we put together in our own life. It is a wall that we build that upholds back all the bounty and blessing that is eagerly coming our way. For the universe's desire is always there to bring about blessing. It is the wall of limitation. That's right. The wall of limitation that we build up within our own lives. That is there present, that we build brick by brick, putting up thought by thought, doubt by doubt, fear by fear, question by question that comes and builds and creates this wall that is the obstacle to our greatest blessing and a barrier to all of our good. How many of you remember Ronald Reagan's call at the Brandenburg Gate in West Berlin? Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall, right? Today I'm inviting you to proclaim the very same thing. Not a Berlin Wall, but the wall of limitation in your own life. So I invite you now to insert your name. Mine is Paul. Tear down this wall. Paul, tear down this wall. Say it, your name, and let's share it together. Tear down this wall. Ready? Tear down this wall. Pretty good. Now, as we begin to set that as our desire, we want to remove this wall of limitation within our lives. And we do so as we begin to instill in our mind that good is without bounds. Wow. There's no limitation to this goodness, this beauty, this love, this blessing, the desiring to pour out in our lives. But why is it then we welcome limitation and we build a wall? Why is it we even think in limiting ways? If we understand that this is the truth of God, why do we comprehend? Why do we even entertain these thoughts? When the psalmist writes in that 23rd Psalm, surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. That's right, as you're walking along, what's going behind you? Surely goodness and mercy. That's not a ladies' trio. No. It is behind you, the fact that what's following all your life is the goodness. Verily, verily, truthfully it's saying, surely, without a doubt, goodness is following behind you. This wonderful beauty of grace and love, it's always trailing behind your life every day of your living. And our belief in this truth then will unfold on the level or the degree that we really determined that the goodness of God is flowing, following, coming with us, working through us in all ways. So how important it is that we come to this place that we really have entertained this kind of consciousness within our thought, that there's no question of the willingness of the power of God and its ability to work for our good. God is always ready, willing, and able to work on our behalf. The real question is, are we ready? So the question is, how much can we believe? For as much as we can believe, that's the level of what's going to be done to us. Wow. If we really grasp that, how much we believe, the level of our believing is the level of our blessing. Wow, don't we want to work on our believing? Because, wow, I want to put that intensity into the power of my faith that I believe for all things, because I am eager to welcome my life to infinite possibilities, infinite blessings. I want more of this. So as I believe, as I walk, as I breathe every single day of my life, I'm trusting God is at work in unfolding the goodness, and there are no limitations. There is no end to this goodness that comes to my life. For this power is available, but can only come, the power that we desire it to be, when we recognize, when we acknowledge, when we welcome it into our lives. And so often, we're just not recognizing the power of God. We're not acknowledging it. We're not even thinking about it. We're busy about our day-to-day routine. We're just walking around on our day-to-day life and forgetting to spend every moment of our life in consciousness and awareness of saying, the power of God is at work through me. It is in me. It is around me. And it's always for me at all times. It is then to this degree of our believing that we suddenly unfold some amazing things, because in this world of great blessing, there's no room for doubt. No room for doubt. Hebrews chapter 4, verse 6 says, they entered not because of their unbelief. They couldn't come in. They couldn't enter. They couldn't get into this presence. They couldn't get into the realm of blessing. They couldn't get in because of their unbelief. Where there is wonderful open doors swinging wide for us in the power of believing, we find limitations and walls in our unbelief. For this house that's divided against itself, that says, I want to believe, but oh, I'm doubting. I want to trust, but oh, I'm not sure. Oh, I believe God is a God of infinite blessings, but oh, I'm not experiencing it right now, and I'm wondering and questioning. And that pulling in our lives is this divided house. Today's text comes to us with a beautiful story. Thank you so much for reading the scripture today and unfolding this story for us. How beautiful it is as we come to this story and make our own individual applications, and we put ourselves into the story, for that's where the power of ancient scriptures come alive. Picture yourself. You are this widow. You are this one who has lost your beloved. You are this one who is now facing all kinds of indebtedness, debt, financial challenge. And you go to the local prophet, pastor, preach, spiritual teacher, guru, whatever it may be, and you go to them and say, my beloved was at one time a great believer, filled with great faith, and has now passed on, but now what is left is I myself and my family are in great debt, and the bill collector is coming to take us away. Going to take my 2 children, going to put them in slavery to pay off this debt. I need your help. What will you do? How can you help me? And the prophet, the guru, the teacher, the pastor simply says to her this wonderful phrase, what do you have in your house? What's her first response? Nothing. Nada. I got nothing. Nope, there's nothing there. I am limited. Yes, that's exactly what I am. I got nothing to give you. You see, I'm looking at all these debts, and all I can see is I've got nothing in my life. I've got no blessing. I've got limitations here. Do you understand, Mr. Prophet, Mr. Preacher, Mr. Guru, Mr. Leader? I'm trying to tell you, I got nada. I got nothing here. Well, the first response is always sometimes in our lives that we want to think about what I don't have versus contemplating on what I do have. We always want to come from this, you know what, do you realize I just don't have anything? I got nothing to give. I got nothing to share. Do you realize I live in such limitation? I'm just squeaking by every single day. I'm just trying to pinch that penny and make some change. I am just doing everything I can in my life, and that's all I've got. And this is the baggage that we carry in our life, is this limitation thinking. And we carry it through because we are always holding and simply acknowledging that we live in a world of, I got nothing, nada. And every time we speak these words, you know what's happening? We lay down a brick and a little mortar, and we say, I got nothing. And that wall gets higher and higher and higher. I got nothing. Don't you realize I'm limited here? Oh, another brick goes on. Don't you realize I just don't have enough? Another brick goes on. And before you know it, the wall of limitation gets higher and higher because we proclaimed it and we have built it in our minds. So the prophet asks, let's get back to this question. What do you have in your house? What do you have in your house? Spiritual life is, this is your house. This is the temple. This is who you are. And this is the greatest question we can ask ourselves on a daily basis. What do you have in your house? What's going on inside you? What's going inside your thought process? What do you have in your inner beliefs? Because this is the key question of life. Are you filled with a wall of limitation? Is that what's going on in you? What do you have in your mind, in your consciousness? The absence of or the presence of? And Jesus asked his disciples this same question. We find this Old Testament story revisited in a New Testament story. I love this because all through the scriptures, the ancients echo over and over again. They keep repeating it with different players. It's the same thought, same story. We can go now to the New Testament, and we find in the gospel message Jesus talking and preaching to the 5,000, and it's late in the day, and they're saying, we need to release these people to go to find something to eat. And Jesus says, what do you have? And what do the disciples say? I got nothing. Nada. Limited. That's right. That's who we are. We got nothing here. We can't feed these. It's impossible. And Jesus says, what do you have? What do you have? Bring me what you have. The woman wakes up and she says, in the Old Testament story, oh, wait, I got some oil. What do the disciples wake up and go, oh, wait, we got this little boy, and he's got a basket with some loaves and fishes or something inside. Oh, wait a minute, I thought you said you had nothing. You got something. You got something. Don't tell me you got nothing. You see, Jesus looks at this and takes what is there in the eyes of a world that says, this is nothing. I got nothing. I'm limited. Oh, wait a minute. You have something. And the Old Testament prophet turns to the woman and says, what have you got? And she says, well, I got nothing, but, oh, wait a minute. I do have some oil. Okay, why is it then we are often proclaiming our first response, I got nothing? And when the world asks to give of ourselves, to share, to demonstrate, we constantly say, oh, I can't. I got no talent. I got no skills. I don't have any wisdom. I don't have any insight. I'm limited. I'm old, my age. I got, my back. Oh, my God. I got nothing. I got nothing. And that's where we live from. Instead of saying, what is it you have in your house? And begin to think, what's inside? What have I got going on here? What do I really have? Oh, wait, we find out. Suddenly we do have something, and there's an acknowledgement, both in the Old Testament and the New Testament story, where the woman says, I got oil, and the disciple says, we got a boy with a basket. And isn't it amazing when there's something? It's the beginning of something great. when we begin to acknowledge. Now, in the Old Testament story, it says, here's what you do. Elisha, the prophet, then says, go up and down the streets, and I want you to knock on those doors, and I want you to borrow jugs and bowls from your neighbors, get some Tupperware, get some containers, get some Glad little containers, plastic bags, so go ahead and get whatever you can, because we're going to collect up all this stuff, because I want you to bring it back home, and we're going to fill those containers. We're going to fill those containers with that oil. Dagnabbit, what is it with you spiritual people? I can imagine this woman, and I can imagine this disciples in both stories, kind of saying, did you hear me? I said, I got nothing. I got a little bit of oil. I'm talking teeny, weeny, little bit of oil. Do you understand? I got such a little bit of smallness that I'm afraid that I'm going to lose everything. Do you understand? And you gurus, you spiritual leaders, you people of great faith want to say, wait a minute, take it and we're going to pour it out into vessels? What's with you people? And the disciples saying, Jesus, did you hear me? I said one basket, a couple of biscuits, and a little bit of something Captain D's. That's all we got. Do you see that? I'm telling you, Jesus, did you wake up? Did you hear me? You're not listening. What's with you spiritual people? When you see, I'm telling you, I got nothing but, okay, I got something, okay, I got limitation, I got just an itty bitty bit, I got a teeny weeny, and that's all you want? What? And you're going to work with this? Yep. That's right. That's right. And that's where the miracle begins. So she's going around knocking on the door. Ding dong, hello. Oh, can I borrow a cup of sugar? No, not the cup. I just want the cup. You can keep the sugar. Ding dong, hello. Can I get a vessel from you? Could I, oh, that vase would be perfect. Can I borrow that? A ding dong, hello. Can I get something from you? Do you have a little pitcher, a little something? Not a pitcher that I could pour. Okay, I'll take that. Great. And she's collecting all these vessels, going door to door, one right up to the other. What's happening is you got to move from your thoughts of nothingness to understand that infinite possibilities are yours. And sometimes what we got to do is go around, knock on some doors, and get us some vessels. Because what these simply are the expressions of our faith. Each vessel was a moment of saying, you know what, I'm getting this vessel, and you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to fill it up. I'm getting your Tupperware from you, and I'm going to fill it up. I'm getting that little cup from you, and I'm going to fill it up. I'm getting a bowl from you, and I'm going to fill it up. Because every time she went door to door to door, she was thinking, you know what? He says these are going to be filled. He said they're going to be filled. And you know what? I believe her faith begins to rise. I believe it began to just rise and accelerate to such a level that the frequency or the vibration of her power of believing began to rise at each moment. Every door she knocked on, every bowl she collected, every pitcher, every vessel that she got began to lift her faith. I believe those disciples in the New Testament story saw Jesus take this basket, open it up, take out those loaves, and break them. Take that fish, tear it apart. In some of the gospel story, he said he set it out before the people. In the story of feeding the 4,000, as there's a story of feeding the 5,000, each story, it's uniquely there that Jesus broke it, poured it out in essence, tore it apart, took the little and began to break it apart and sense that that was the energy, the essence, the surrendering of that which was small, that was given, torn apart and broken apart. Suddenly great things began to unfold from it. And the 5,000, the 4,000, in each story, each illustration for us, there was a miraculous moment of people being fed and bounty there. Each vessel, each little itty bit, each basket brought about something amazing. Because in the act of collecting the vessels, in the act of breaking the bread, in the act of pouring out the oil that in this story, it's as if you're acting as if this limitation has no boundaries, and it is not really limited, and this nothing is now something, and this something is now everything. That's the big shift. This little bit of oil, teeny weeny, oh, it's now something. And this something is now becoming everything. This little bit of fish, this little bit of bread that I think is so small and insignificant is something that is now becoming everything. You see, it's a total shift in our mind. And when you gather your vessels, these symbols, every vessel that is collected then becomes one brick removed on your wall of limitation. That's right. Because when you go out and says, I'm going to believe, I'm going to act as if, I'm going to go around and I'm believing that this is going to happen for me, that there is limitation no more in my life. I'm acting out as been told. I'm going to live out that which has been advised of me to go about and walk in faith, collecting, knocking on doors, collecting vessel after vessel that's going to be filled. You know what you're doing? I said, I believe. And you just took a brick off that wall. I believe again that this limitation is not mine, but there's something amazing happening, and I'm taking another brick off. And before you know, that wall is going smaller and smaller, smaller, and finally you can step over it and move away from that wall of limitation. Now, in the Old Testament story, the prophet says, go collect all these vessels, and once you got them, close the door. That's right. Get into your space of privacy. Close the door. Get away from all the people, the busyness, the hubbub, the neighbors, all the buzz, all the business of what's going on in your world, and close the door. Where do we hear this over and over again? In Scripture, in the New Testament, there's this beautiful invitation that says, when you pray, go in secret. Go into your prayer closet. Jesus isn't advocating that you go into the closet. In fact, he's big on coming out of the closet. But he's saying in your own individual life, go into that prayer place, that sacred inner space, close the door. The miracles happen inside us when we say, I've acted as if, I'm going to believe, I'm going to trust, and I'm going to close the door and be in my moment of privacy, of working within what's going on in my life. Because remember, the prophet said, what's going on in your house? What do you have in your house? What do you have going on? So go back there, get inside. And then as you close the door, that's where you act out in faith and belief and trust. And I can imagine that woman looking at this little bit of oil and all these vessels she and her son have collected. I don't know the number. Were there 25? Were there 60? Were there 85? Were there 100? Were there 200? We don't know. But she began to pour. In the privacy, she began to pour. And in her own life, in her individual prayer life, I invite you to do the same. Pour. And in the moments of your quietness, break the bread, share the fish, pour out. Take that which you thought was limiting and nothing and limited and having boundaries to it, and live and live as if it is unlimited, and pour it out. And so she begins to do this. She begins to pour out. And she begins to pour each one, and I can imagine the first one's filled, and then, oh wait, there's more. Oh look, second one's filled, third one's filled, fourth one's filled, fifth one's filled, 100 are filled. How many, I don't know, but they're all filled. And she says, wait a minute, there's even more yet to come. Get me another vessel. And all of her sons say, Mom, we got every vessel in town. We knocked on every door. You got enough. And here's the amazing thing. That when we allow the Spirit of God to work in our lives with such faith and believing, we come to the place where there is enough. There's enough. Because the universe is good all the time. And its goodness is infinite. And its blessings are there. And there is enough for you. And in this moment, she stopped pouring out because there was enough and every vessel was filled. And the prophet said, now go and sell these. Sell these vessels and pay off your debts and live off the profits. and you and your sons will live well in the lives ahead. You're moving from nothing to something, not just something, but everything. Do you get that? That's our spiritual life. That's the day-to-day journey of our life. You may think you got nothing today, not a itty bit, just well, maybe I got a teeny weeny. I got a little bit of a something. I got a tiny bit. I got something really small. That's all I got. Oh, but you're moving from that nothing to that something, to the understanding that this something now is going to be everything in your life. Or here's the recipe. Here's the recipe for our spiritual success. Acknowledge. Stop saying, I have nothing. Would you do that for me? Please. Stop saying, I have nothing. We need to eradicate that phrase from our vocabulary. We need to cross it out. We need to remove it. We need to take a big black marker and blot that out. We are never going to say, I have nothing. Because in our spiritual life, we know the infinite goodness of God has always placed something there. And so we're going to acknowledge that we have more than nothing. Now, to be willing to surrender that nothing, because we kind of scoop up this nothingness in our lives and we keep holding it as our badge of honor. I got nothing. I got nothing. I'm limited. There's nothing here. Don't ask because I got nothing. Don't ask money of me. Don't ask anything of me. Don't ask of talent. Don't ask of giving, of time, treasures, or any of these kind of things because you know what? I got nada. But it's time to give up our nada. Time to surrender that limitation and let go of it. Surrender your tiny bit of oil, your basket that you think is too small and limited. Surrender this is all I have, and pour it out, break it, share it, release it into blessing. But you have to be willing to share what you have. For the greatest way of tearing down your wall of limitation is to give that limitation away. Give it away. This is all I got, my little nothing. Here, you can have it. This is all I got is a little bit of talent. Here, you can have it. This is all I got is a little bit of time. I'm giving it to you. I'm just going to keep giving it away and giving it away because, the more that I give it away, the more that it comes to me. Next, welcome the possibilities and start knocking on some doors and getting some pitchers and some Tupperware and some baggies and getting some containers, getting some vessels, because these are saying, I'm collecting all these possibilities. I'm collecting in great faith, and I know that God is at work and something is going to happen through each one of these. And I know that these vessels will be filled. I know it's going to happen for me because I am holding on to this, and I pour it out, and I welcome these possibilities. And when you've done that, close the door. Go in secret. Get to that place where you then in that private time begin to pour out, release from deep within. Pour out, break it, share it, do whatever it takes within your life because you're saying, limitation no more. Limitation no more. That wall is coming down. That wall is coming down. There is no barrier to the blessings of God within my life. And I surrender all of that nothing. I'm surrendering that nothing that then suddenly becomes something, and that something becomes your everything. This divine presence can only work for you as you allow it to work through you. And if you've built up that wall of limitation, it's knocking. It wants to come through. But you got that wall. You got to release. You got to break down. You got to tear down that wall. That is stopping the flow of your great blessing. So let us begin to accept today the more good than we've ever experienced, more good than we had yesterday, more good than we've had in our past, because the infinite possibilities of goodness are theirs, unless we put up a wall, unless we built a barrier of limitation, unless we say, I got nothing, nada. How important it is that we understand that the universe is good. How good? Infinite good. And there's so much good waiting for you, and you are able to welcome it into your life as you walk in this kind of faith, as you walk in this biblical example, as you live this story as your story. That's why today I'm saying, City of Light, tear down that wall. Say it with me. City of Light, tear down that wall. Amen.